Auto layout is one of the more advanced options that we have in Figma, and it allows you to really efficiently work and scale your UI elements based on the content that's inside of them, or based on the frame that they're in. So I'm gonna demonstrate auto layout a little bit in here, but if you want to learn more and really become a pro of using auto layout for your designs, check out our advanced Figma course. For this example, I'm gonna create a simple button. So I'm gonna say button text in here, and I'm gonna click Shift A to create an auto layout. For auto layout to actually work, it has to become a frame. So you see that this now became a frame 1, and you can see that we have a rectangle that appeared around our text that represents this currently transparent frame. Auto layout settings are gonna be here on the right, and if I create just a little rectangle, nothing happens. But if I create a frame, I do have auto layout settings. So you can also create it that way by creating auto layout by clicking in here. Again, you're gonna have to have something in your frame for auto layout to actually work. That's one of the reasons why I in here in this example started with the text. So you can see if I click on the frame that is on the auto layout one, I have options on how the auto layout will behave. To really showcase how it's working, I'm gonna have two texts. And one of them is just gonna be this big, bold letter B, like this. So I have two elements. The spacing in here that you can see between the two elements is this one. This decides how the elements will grow. So if I add an additional element, you can see that the spacing in between them is this one, and it says 8. If I make this bigger, this grows. If I choose to use this, that means that they're actually going to go from top to bottom, not from left to right. For our button example, it's best to use left to right. This is the horizontal padding, so the space that happens in here and in here. And you can see that now it grew from 8 to 24. You can always hit in here and kind of increase it, but that's gonna be harder to control, so I prefer using the right sidebar. This spacing in here is this one. And to make sure that we can actually see what's happening to this button that we're creating, let's use this. If I click on a particular frame, I can see all of the different fills in here. I'm just gonna remove my photo into this section for now. And you can see that this frame is using the selection color of black and dark red, and I want to switch this to white. So just another tip on what you can do if you select the full frame. You're going to have all of the selection colors appearing here. We can also round this button by rounding the corner radius in here. And you can see that the size of this element, this frame, is controlled by the size of the elements inside it. So since the height of this text is 34, which is the font size of 24 times 140%, it alongside the two 12s that we have in here, which are these numbers, so 12 plus 34 plus 12 is 58. If you want to control the top spacing to be different from the bottom one, or the left spacing to be different from the right one, you can use commas to separate, like left, right, top, bottom, or you can just expand this option and you're going to have them separate. So in here I can make this 12, and you're going to see that it's smaller than the left padding. The only other thing that's really important for auto layout is this. It shows you how the content will grow. So if it's going to be centered like this, or however it's going to be positioned. Right now, since we just have the same amount of text, nothing's really happening. But to showcase what could happen, I'm gonna actually make this really small text. And now if I do this, 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 you can actually see something change. In the advanced layout settings for the auto layout, you can change the spacing mode from packed to space between. And in the preview, you can see what actually happens. Packed means that if the width of this frame is not consistent, so if it's hugging the contents, that means that for as long as we're adding more content, the width of the main frame is going to change. While if we have space between, that means that if we make this bigger, the things in here are going to be controlled by auto size. So it's not going to be something like 12. It's actually going to expand based on the size of the width of the frame. This is just for the settings of the stroke. Right now we don't have it, but like, is it included in the layout or is it outside of the layout? You can see visually what that means. Is the first item in the auto layout on top or the last one, which is something that you're often going to use for avatars if you've seen them. I'm just going to create a simple white stroke around it to be able to see what's different. We can also add a little shadow in here. And you can see that right now I can create like 4 of these, select them, create auto layout, and I can go in the negative amounts to make them overlap. And now if I move to first on top, you can see that the position and like the way that they are ordered has changed. Finally, for auto layout settings, we also have a text baseline alignment, which will ignore some of the things that you did in here and will actually make all of the text as text baselines, which is this line on the bottom of the text, appear at the same position. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for everything that's connected to auto layout. Another thing that you could find useful when it comes to layouts and frames is if you have a frame, and let's make this something like a standard font size, really small one though, you can position elements inside that frame and have them stay on particular places. So for example, if I make this, let's imagine that this is an icon that we have in the interface that allows us to go back, and this is an icon that allows us to close a particular screen. I can use these positions to ensure that this element stays in place. So it's gonna always stay 32 pixels from the top, and it's always gonna stay 16 pixels away from the right edge, while this one is gonna be positioned from top and left side, and it's gonna always stay 16 pixels away from the left edge and 32 pixels away from the top. So if I resize this main frame, now you can see this one staying positioned in a particular place, which could be useful for things like this is a title, and we're using that title in here, and we can say that it always stays centered, and now when we're resizing this frame, it stays in the center. You can also do other things like creating an auto layout out of this, and instead of this being 88 and this one just hugging the content, you can make it be a fixed width. It's going to be positioned like this, and we can also have this element fill the container. This one can also fill the container, and this one can fill the container as well, and we can have the space in between be something really, really small. So you can now see that this is 88 pixels of width, this is 88, and this is 88, which means that All of these elements are going to resize based on the parent frame. So if I make this auto layout a little bit smaller, all of the elements inside is resized as well. So there are a couple of those tricks. Again, if you want to see how we can apply all of these things to UI work, how we can really plan and make our designs responsive fully, and how to use auto layout to our advantage to plan all of the content really, really well for UX and UI design, look at our advanced Figma course. But this should be more than enough to teach you the basics of auto layout. And if you want to explore it further with us in our advanced Figma course or on your own, you can do so, because now you know the most important things about auto layout and how it works.